Hello everyone, and welcome to another creative clip from my collection. Today I'm going to talk about watercolour ground and how to use it when preparing a canvas. Now, years ago everyone used gesso to prepare a canvas, which is this here, and that would be preparing it ready to take oils or acrylic paints. You can put it on and try it with watercolour, but it doesn't work very well. All that happens is the watercolour slides straight off. So for a few years now you've been able to get a product called watercolour ground, and there's several manufacturers do it. My favourite is this one, and you can get it in various colours. You can get it in white, gold, black, not sure what else, but anyway, and you can get it in smooth or rough. And for all the details on watercolour grounds, you can see them in my book Watercolour Nature Unleashed, which there's a chapter on textured watercolour grounds and other watercolour grounds, and also in great detail in my latest book called Painting Abstract Nature on Canvas. They're all available to buy online, and this really does go into it in a big way, because the whole book, every painting is painted on canvas in watercolour with a bit of mixed media as well. So to enable us to paint on a canvas with watercolour, we need to use this product that will prepare our surface to take watercolour. You could add this to anything, to glass, to metal, to wood, all sorts of things. So you can paint it on boards, glass bottles, leather, anything that takes your fancy. So this is by Daniel Smith, and I do like this one. It covers better than any other, and you usually only need one coat, which more or less saves you money in the end, so you might as well buy the best to begin with. So I've got a canvas here. It's not been prepared with anything. I mean, you do buy them that say that they're ready prepared, but they're not prepared for watercolour, and that's what we're interested in. So I'll just show you a quick way of how I use my palette knife, a sponge roller, and like a decorating soft bristle brush to prepare canvases. So first of all I start by giving it a stir, and then using a palette knife to more or less spread the product all over the area I want to cover. That saves using the brush and everything straight away. You can do half the work immediately by just using a palette knife to get the material, you know, where you want it to go. And then we just even it out. I mean, you could leave it like that. You know, you could make marks in it like a seascape or rocks or anything. You know, it'll dry and take your paint, and you can get some really lovely effect. So I'll just get up to that corner there. I like to get up to the edges, and I even cover the edges in it as well, because I always paint the edges in white or carry the painting on around the edges. So you can see how much I've used, and that's a fairly big canvas. And so now I get this decorating brush that are available to buy online really cheap, and I start to make sure it's covered everywhere, and I'm pressing on quite hard, and I'm not thinking about yet how smooth I want it to be or anything. I just want to cover the whole canvas everywhere in the ground. So right up to the edges, over the edges and round the edges. And then I'm going to get a bit of kitchen roll and wipe the brush like that, and then gradually I call it feathering, to make it a little bit smoother. So I'm using a lighter touch. You always get the odd bristle coming off these cheap brushes, but the thing is, you know, you need to use a cheap brush because, you know, it doesn't do them any good really. So don't use your best brushes on this. I do wash them and reuse these cheaper ones, but they're never the same again, so that's why I go for bristle. So I'm going up and down now, look. I've been across, I'm going up and down, and can you see how the canvas is getting smoother and smoother as I go? And then I'll probably clean it again on paper or tissue and go over again like that. And then same again, very light touch, gradually smoothing it out. So it's not a long process, but it doesn't happen in an instant. You know, you've really got to work at it to get it as smooth as you wish. And so I'd carry on doing that probably a couple more times to get it to the smooth finish I want. Or you could use a sponge roller, this is a decorating roller, and get a really smooth finish by going over very lightly over the canvas, all over to start with. I'll press on this side more because I've not smoothed that out, but then after that, same again, go over really lightly, and it gives a lovely little kind of textured mottled effect that you'd get probably on watercolour paper. So then you let this dry, which will take, well, I'd say overnight to be sure, a few hours, and just spend time getting it really smooth, best you can. And using the roller is my favourite method really, because I like this little mottled effect, and it's like a rough watercolour paper. But you can add things to it, you can make things. I've just got a few canvases to show you here. This one, for example, was painted on a really smooth surface, so I've got a very soft painting. This one, that was a very smooth surface as well, but I painted in a normal way, in a quite traditional way, a landscape way, so you can let your paint run like the first canvas, or just use it like you would any other landscape painting on paper. Or you could be a little bit more adventurous and you know, just throw some paints and inks on and all sorts of stuff and do an abstract painting like that. This one is on a board, but you treat it just the same as a canvas. There's no difference to preparing the surface in any way, and I've added cling film on that as it was drying, and then added paint, and I've got this nice textural effect. Or you could go one step further and add lots of textural materials like gauze, crackle paste. I've got some things there I use for berries, but that's probably another creative clip to show you how I use those. Or all these are in my book, so you might want to have a look at that and see for yourself and experiment, you know. Why don't you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you'll see any more creative clips that I do. Follow me on Facebook, I usually put everything on there, and Instagram, Jane Betteridge Watercolours. Visit my website, janebetteridge.com. All my news and some paintings and stuff I do is on there as well. Watch out anyway for some more creative clips. I can't remember what else I've got to say, but I think I've done pretty well. And because I'm doing them all the time, and I hope you enjoy them.